The news spread through the palace like fire through dry grass. By sunset, everyone knew. The human would face the Alpha trials. The human would die, servants whispered in the hallways. Nobles laughed in their chambers. Soldiers shook their heads and made bets about how long the human would last. 1 minute? 2? Perhaps he would simply fall down from fear before the first trial even began. Prince Q walked through the palace like a king already. He smiled at everyone he passed. He even smiled at Yuna when he saw her in the great hall. "Do not worry, sister," he said. "When your pet is dead, I will find you a proper mate. Someone with claws. Someone worthy of our blood." Yuna wanted to scratch his eyes out, but she kept her face calm. She kept her claws hidden. "The trials are not over yet," she said. Q laughed. "They might as well be. Your human is already dead. He just does not know it." That night, Yuna went to Tay's room. She found him sitting by the window, staring at the stars. He did not look afraid. He did not look worried. He looked like he was thinking very hard about something. "You need to run," Yuna said. "Leave this planet. Go back to Earth. I can arrange a ship. No one will know until you are gone." Tay shook his head. "I am not running. You do not understand. The Alpha trials are impossible. They were designed for Fellerans, for warriors with claws and fangs and speed. No human has ever faced them. No human has ever survived them. Then I will be the first." Yuna grabbed his arm. Her claws came out, pricking his skin. Not enough to hurt him, just enough to make him listen. "Tay, please. I cannot lose you. I will not lose you." Tay looked at her. His eyes were soft but strong. "Yuna," he said, "do you trust me?" "Yes, but then trust me now. I know what I am doing. I have a plan." "What plan?" "What can you possibly do against Q?" "Against the champions? They will tear you apart." Tay stood up and walked to the table. On it was a pile of scrolls. He had been reading them all day. He had been studying. "Tell me about the trials," he said. "Tell me everything." Yuna sat down. She looked at the scrolls. She saw that Tay had already read most of them. He had made notes in the margins. He had drawn diagrams, maps, plans. For the first time, she felt a tiny spark of hope. "The Alpha trials have 3 stages," she began. "The first is the trial of survival. You are taken to the great forest and left there for 3 days. You must survive without food, without weapons, without help. The forest is filled with dangerous animals, hunters, predators. Most challengers die in the first night. And if you survive, then you face the trial of combat. You must fight 3 champions chosen by the court. They are the best warriors in the Empire. Fast, strong, deadly. Each fight is to the death. And the third trial?" Yuna paused. Her face grew dark. "The trial of kings. You face the challenger himself. In this case, my brother, Q. The fight ends only when one of you is dead." Tay nodded slowly. He looked at his notes. He looked at the maps. "The first trial is in the forest," he said. "How big is it?" "Thousands of miles. No one knows exactly." "And the animals?" "What kinds?" "All kinds. Great cats, wolves, snakes. Things with no name. Things that hunt in the dark. Can I bring anything with me?" "Nothing. You enter the forest with only your clothes. That is the law." Tay smiled. It was a strange smile. The kind of smile a hunter makes when he sees his prey. "Good," he said. Yuna stared at him. "Good? How is that good?" "Because they expect me to be helpless. They expect me to run and hide. They do not know what humans can do with nothing." "What do you mean?" Tay picked up one of the scrolls. It was a map of the great forest. "Humans are not strong," he said. We are not fast, but we are something else. We are patient. We can walk for days without stopping. We can hunt animals that are bigger and stronger than us. We have been doing it for 100,000 years. With weapons. No, before weapons. Before tools. In the old days, my ancestors would hunt great beasts by chasing them. They would run after them for miles and miles. Not fast, just steady. The beast would run away, but they would get tired. They would overheat. They would fall. And then, when they could not run anymore, the humans would catch them. Yuna's ears flicked forward. This was new. This was interesting. Your people hunted by walking? We call it persistence hunting. It is the most ancient way. Other animals are faster than us, but they cannot keep moving. They need to rest. Humans do not. Humans can run and walk and move without stopping. That is our gift. That is our weapon. But the forest is not just about walking. There are predators. They will hunt you. Then I will hunt them first. Tay pointed to the map. He showed her the rivers, the mountains, the valleys. I have studied this forest, he said. I know where the water is. I know where the high ground is. I know where I can hide and where I can trap. Give me 3 days, and I will walk out of that forest alive. Yuna looked at him for a long time. She saw the fire in his eyes. She saw the iron in his spine. And the combat trial? She asked, What is your plan for that? Tay was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. I need to train. There's no time. The trials begin in 10 days. Then I will train for 10 days. Every hour. Every minute. I need to learn how Fellerans fight. I need to understand their strengths. Their weaknesses. They are stronger than you. Faster than you. I know. But strength and speed are not everything. There is also timing, strategy, surprise. I have fought enemies stronger than me before. I have won. How? Tay picked up a small wooden stick from the table. He held it up. Do you see this stick? Yes. If I hit you with this stick, it will not hurt you. It is too weak. Too small. But if I hit you in the right place, at the right time, it will drop you to the ground. That is what humans do. We find the weak point. We strike it. We do not need to be stronger. We just need to be smarter. Yuna took the stick from his hand. She looked at it. Then she looked at him. You are either very brave or very foolish, she said. Probably both. For the first time in days, Yuna smiled. I will help you, she said. I will teach you how we fight. I will show you our weaknesses. And I will find you a trainer. Someone who hates my brother as much as we do. Who? Her name is Hana. She was a general in my father's army. Q tried to take her honor. She has never forgiven him. She will help us. The next morning, Yuna brought Hana to Tay's room. Hana was old for a Floran. Her fur was gray and her face was scarred. She had lost one eye in battle, but her remaining eye was sharp and cold. She looked at Tay like a butcher looks at meat. This is the human? She said. This is what you want me to train? Yes, Yuna said. Hana walked around Tay. She poked him. She grabbed his arm and felt his muscles. She looked at his hands, his feet, his eyes. Soft, she said. Weak, no claws. No fangs. Slow. Blind in the dark. What am I supposed to do with this? Make him win, Yuna said. Hana laughed. It was a harsh sound, like rocks grinding together. You ask for miracles. I ask for what you can give. You are the best trainer in the Empire. You trained my father. You trained 100 champions. Train this one. He is not a champion. He is not even a warrior. He is a soft thing from a soft world. Tay spoke for the first time. I am standing right here. Hannah looked at him. Her eye narrowed. So you have a voice? Good. You will need it to scream when the champions break your bones. I do not scream. Everyone screams, not me. Hannah stepped closer. She was shorter than him, but somehow she seemed bigger, more dangerous. What makes you think you can survive? She asked. Tay met her gaze. Because I have nothing to lose. Hannah was silent for a moment. Then she smiled. It was not a kind smile, but it was a real one. Wrong answer, she said. You have everything to lose. Your life, your love, your honor. If you go into those trials thinking you have nothing, you will die like nothing. She turned to Yuna. Leave us. I will train him, but I will do it my way. And if he cannot keep up, I will tell you, and you can say goodbye to him before the trials begin. Yuna looked at Tay. He nodded. Go, he said. I will be fine. Yuna left. And then the real training began. Hannah was brutal. She did not give Tay rest. She did not give him mercy. From dawn to midnight, she made him run. She made him climb. She made him fight. She hit him with sticks. She scratched him with her claws. She threw him to the ground again and again, and every time he fell, she made him get up. Again, she would say. Again, again. Tay's body screamed with pain. His muscles burned. His lungs felt like fire. But he did not stop. He did not complain. He just kept getting up. On the third day, Hannah threw him to the ground so hard he could not breathe. She stood over him, her claws out, her eye burning with something that might have been anger or might have been respect. Why do you keep getting up? She asked. Any sane creature would stay down. Tay looked up at her. Blood ran from his lip. His body was covered in bruises. Because staying down means dying, he said. And I'm not ready to die. Hannah stared at him for a long moment. Then she reached down and pulled him to his feet. Good, she said. That is the first real answer you have given me. She handed him a cup of water. Drink. Rest for 1 hour. Then we continue. What happens next? Hannah smiled her cold smile. Next, I teach you how to kill. The days passed. The moon grew fuller. And somewhere in the darkness of the palace, Prince Q sharpened his claws and dreamed of blood. He did not know that the human he planned to kill was becoming. The golden throne room of the forlorn empire stretched wide like the belly of a great beast. Tall pillars of white stone held up a ceiling painted with stars. Silk curtains hung from every window, and on every wall there were paintings of past. Kings and queens, all of them with sharp eyes, pointed ears, and fur that shone like polished metal. The Fellerans were a proud race. They walked on 2 legs like humans, but their bodies were covered in soft fur. Their ears sat high on their heads, always moving, always listening. Their eyes glowed in the dark. Their claws could cut through steel. For 1,000 years, they had ruled this part of the galaxy. No one challenged them. No one dared. Princess Yuna stood at the center of the throne room. She was tall and beautiful, with silver fur that caught the light like moon water. Her eyes were the color of fresh honey. She wore a dress of deep blue, and on her head sat a small crown made of crystal. She was the only daughter of the late king, and soon she would take the throne. But today was not about the throne. Today was about something else. Today was the day she would present her chosen mate to the court. The nobles filled the room, lords and ladies in fine robes, generals in armor, advisors with scrolls tucked under their arms. They all watched the princess with curious eyes. For months, there had been rumors, strange rumors, impossible rumors. They said the princess had chosen a human dot at first. No one believed it. Humans were weak creatures from a small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy. They had no claws, no fangs, no fur. They could not see in the dark, They could not run fast. They could not fight. The Fellerans allowed humans to visit their empire as traders and ambassadors, but no one took them seriously. They were like children playing among giants, and yet the rumors would not stop. The great doors of the throne room opened. Everyone turned to look. And there, walking beside Princess Yuna, was the human. His name was Tay. He was not tall. He was not strong. He had dark hair that fell across his forehead and calm eyes that showed no fear. He wore simple clothes, black and clean. He had no sword, no armor. He walked with his hands at his sides, his steps quiet and steady. The room went silent. Then the whispers began. "Is this a joke?" someone said. "Look at him. He is so small. Where are his claws? How does he fight?" "He cannot fight." That is the point. The princess has lost her mind. Tay heard every word. His ears were not as sharp as the Fellerans, but they were sharp enough. He kept his face calm. He had expected this. Yuna had warned him. She had told him what would happen when he walked into this room. She had told him they would laugh. They would mock. They would try to break him with their words before they even lifted a claw. But Tay was not easy to break. He had grown up on Earth, in a small town near the mountains. His father had been a soldier. His mother had been a teacher. They had raised him to be patient, to think before he acted, to never show his enemies what he was feeling inside. Let them talk, his father used to say. Words are wind, only actions matter. So Tay let them talk. Princess Yuna raised her hand. The room fell silent again. She looked at her people with eyes that burned like fire. "I present to you my chosen mate," she said. Her voice was strong and clear. "His name is Tay. He is human. And he will stand beside me as I take the throne." For a moment, no one moved. Then, from the crowd, a laugh broke out. It came from Prince Q. Q was Yuna's older brother. He had black fur and golden eyes. He was tall and strong, with muscles that showed through his royal robes. He was also cruel. Everyone knew it. He liked to hunt. He liked to fight. He liked to hurt things weaker than himself. And right now, he was looking at Tay like a cat looks at a mouse. "This," Q said, walking forward, "this is what you bring before the court? This prey?" He circled Tay slowly, his tail swishing behind him. Tay did not move. He did not even blink. "Look at him," Q said to the crowd. "No claws, no fangs. I could kill him with one hand. I could kill him with one finger." Some of the nobles laughed. Others looked uncomfortable. But no one spoke against the prince. Q stopped in front of Tay. He leaned close. His breath was hot and smelled of meat. "Do you know what we call creatures like you?" Q whispered. "We call them food." Tay met his eyes. "And do you know what we call creatures like you on Earth?" Q's ears flicked. "What? Pets?" The room gasped. Q's eyes went wide. For a moment, his claws came out, sharp and silver. For a moment, Tay thought the prince would strike him right there in front of everyone. But then Yuna stepped between them. "Enough," she said. Her voice was ice. "He is my choice, brother. And you will respect that choice." Q stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Of course, sister," he said. "I respect your choice. I just wonder if you will respect it when he lies dead at your feet." He turned and walked back into the crowd. Yuna took Tay's hand. Her palm was warm and soft. Her claws were hidden, but he could feel them there, just under the surface. "Are you all right?" she asked quietly. "I am fine," Tay said. He will not give up. He wants the throne. He has always wanted it. And now he sees a way to take it. I know. He will try to kill you. Tay looked at her. For the first time, a small smile crossed his face. He can try. The days that followed were not easy. Tay was given a room in the palace. It was large and beautiful, with windows that looked out over the capital city. But he did not feel safe there. He knew the servants watched him. He knew the guards whispered about him. He knew that every night, someone could come through his door with a knife dart, so he did not sleep in his bed. He slept in the corner, with his back against the wall. He kept a chair propped against the door. He kept a knife under his pillow. These were old habits from his time as a soldier on Earth. He had fought in wars. He had seen death. He knew how to survive, but surviving here was different. Here, the enemy was not across a battlefield. The enemy was everywhere. The enemy smiled at him and called him my lord while planning his death. Yuna visited him when she could. She came late at night when the halls were empty. She would sit with him by the window and tell him about the court. She told him who could be trusted and who could not. She told him about the old laws and the new dangers. "Why did you choose me?" Tay asked one night. Yuna was quiet for a moment. The moonlight made her silver for a glow. "Because you are different," she said. "Because when I look at you, I do not see someone trying to take something from me. I see someone who sees me. Just me. Not the crown. Not the power. Just Yuna." Tay understood. He had felt the same way when he first met her. She had come to Earth as part of a diplomatic mission. He had been assigned to protect her. At first, he thought she was just another royal, spoiled and proud. But then, he saw how she looked at the stars. He saw how she listened to the children who came to see her. He saw how she cried when she thought no one was watching. She was lonely. Just like him. "I will not let them hurt you," Yuna said. "I will not let Q take you from me." Tay took her hand. "You do not have to protect me," he said. "I can protect myself." Yuna shook her head. "You do not understand. The Fellerans are not like humans. We are faster, stronger. Q has killed a dozen challengers with his bare hands. If he decides to fight you, he will not stop until you are dead. Then I will have to be smarter than him." Yuna looked into his eyes. She saw something there. Something hard. Something that did not break. "You are not afraid," she said. It was not a question. "I am afraid," Tay said. "But fear does not control me. I control it." At that moment, Yuna knew she had made the right choice. The next morning, the court gathered again. This time, it was for a formal announcement. The high priest stood before the throne and read from an ancient scroll. "The Princess Yuna has chosen her mate," he said. "According to the old laws, any member of the royal family may challenge this choice. The challenger may invoke the Alpha Trials. In these trials, the chosen mate must prove his worth. He must fight. He must survive. If he fails, the princess loses her claim to the throne. If he wins, he becomes the Alpha King." The room was silent. Prince Q stepped forward. His smile was wide. His eyes were bright with hunger. "I invoke the Alpha Trials," he said. The crowd gasped. Yuna's face went pale. The high priest nodded slowly. "So it is spoken. So it shall be." Q turned to look at Tay. His tail swished with excitement. "I hope you enjoy your last days, human," he said. "The trials begin at the next full moon. And I promise you, they will be the last days of your life." Tay said nothing. He just stood there, calm and quiet, like a stone in a river. But inside, his mind was already working, already planning, already preparing for war. The Fellerans thought they knew what humans were. They thought humans were weak, soft, easy to kill. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Something else. Something new. Something dangerous. The Fellerans thought the trials would be easy. They thought the human would fall in the first hour. They were about to learn the truth about humanity. Humans did not need the morning of the first trial came with cold rain and dark clouds. The Fellerans said it was a bad sign. They said the sky was crying for the human who was about to die. Tay stood at the edge of the great forest. He wore simple clothes, a thin shirt, old pants, boots that had seen better days. He had no weapons, no food, no water, nothing but what he was born with. Behind him, 1,000 Fellerins had gathered to watch. They had come from all corners of the empire, lords and ladies, soldiers and servants. They wanted to see the human fail. They wanted to see him run into the forest and never come out. Prince Q stood at the front of the crowd. He wore his finest armor, black and gold. He smiled at Tay like a cat that had already caught its mouse. 3 days, Q said. That is all you have. 3 days in the forest. If you are still alive when the sun rises on the 4th day, you pass the first trial. He leaned close. His voice dropped to a whisper. But you will not be alive. The forest will eat you. The beasts will tear you apart. And when we find your body, I will hang it from the palace walls so everyone can see what happens to those who think they can stand with Fellerins. Tay looked at him calmly. Save a spot on that wall for yourself. Q's smile disappeared. His claws came out. But the high priest stepped between them. The trial begins now, the priest said. Let the challenger enter the forest. Tay turned away from Q. He looked at the forest. It was vast and dark. The trees were taller than buildings. The shadows moved in ways that should not be possible. Somewhere in that darkness, there were things waiting for him. Things with teeth. Things with hunger. He took a deep breath. And then he walked forward. The crowd watched him go. They watched until the forest swallowed him whole. He is already dead, someone said. Q nodded. Yes, he just does not know it yet. But far from the crowd, standing alone on a balcony of the palace, Princess Yuna watched the forest with burning eyes. Her claws dug into the stone railing. Her heart beat fast in her chest. Come back to me, she whispered. Please, come back. Inside the forest, the world changed. The sounds of the crowd disappeared. The light of the sky faded. Everything became dark and quiet and close. The trees pressed in from all sides. The ground was soft and wet. The air smelled of rot and growing things. Tay did not run. He walked, slowly, carefully. His eyes moved from shadow to shadow. His ears listened to every sound. Hana had taught him many things in the past 10 days. She had taught him how to move without sound. She had taught him how to read the ground for tracks. She had taught him how to find water by following the birds. She had taught him how to build traps with nothing but sticks and vines. But the most important thing she had taught him was this. Do not think like prey. Think like a hunter. The Fellerins think humans are food, she had said. That is their weakness. They expect you to run. They expect you to hide. But you are not food. You are a predator. You come from a world of predators. Your ancestors killed beasts 10 times their size. Remember that. Own it. Tay remembered. He walked deeper into the forest. He found a small stream and followed it upstream. Water meant life. Life meant prey. And where there was prey, there would be predators. But Tay was not worried about predators. He had been hunted before. He had survived. By the time the sun set, he had found what he was looking for. A rocky hill near the stream. The rocks formed a natural shelter. One way in, one way out. A perfect place to defend. He gathered branches, vines, thorns. He built a barrier across the entrance. Not enough to stop a forlorn beast, but enough to slow it down. Enough to give him warning. Then he made a fire. The Fellerins would not expect this. Fire was a human thing. Fellerins could see in the dark. They did not need fire. They feared it, in fact. Their fur could burn. Their eyes were sensitive to bright light. Tay had thought about this for many days. Fire was his advantage. Fire was his weapon. The flames rose into the darkness. The light pushed back the shadows. And somewhere in the forest, the beasts that had been following him stopped. They did not like the fire. They did not understand it. Good. Tay sat by the fire and waited. He did not sleep. He knew better than to sleep on the first night. Instead, he listened. He watched. He fed the fire small sticks to keep it burning. Around midnight, he heard them. Footsteps, heavy and slow. Something big was moving through the trees. It circled his camp once, twice, 3 times. Tay could see its eyes in the darkness, yellow and hungry, but it did not attack. The fire kept it away. When the sun rose, Tay was still alive. The second day was harder. Tay had to move. Staying in one place was dangerous. The beasts would learn his location. They would grow bold. They would attack even with the fire. So he walked. All day, mile after mile. The forest seemed endless. Every direction looked the same. But Tay had a plan. He followed the stream. Water always led somewhere. It led to rivers. Rivers led to valleys. Valleys were easier to survive in. By noon, he was hungry. His stomach growled and his body felt weak. But he did not stop to eat. There was no time. He had to keep moving. In the afternoon, he found food. A bush filled with small purple berries. He had seen these berries in the scrolls Yuna had given him. They were safe to eat. He ate as many as he could and filled his pockets with the rest. By sunset, he had reached a wide river. The water was fast and deep. On the other side, the forest opened into a meadow. He could see the sky. He could see space to run. But crossing the river was dangerous. There were things in the water. He could see their shadows moving beneath the surface. Long and dark and patient. Tay studied the river for a long time. He looked upstream. He looked downstream. Finally, he found what he needed. A place where the river narrowed. Where fallen trees had created a natural bridge. He climbed onto the trees. He moved slowly, 1 step at a time. The wet bark was slippery under his boots. The shadows in the water followed him, waiting for him to fall. He did not fall. When he reached the other side, he let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. Then he kept walking. That night, he made another fire. But this time, he did not stay beside it. Instead, he climbed a tree nearby. He tied himself to the branch with vines so he would not fall if he slept. And he slept. Below him, a great cat came to investigate the fire. It was the size of a horse, with black fur and silver stripes. It sniffed the air. It walked around the fire. It looked up at the tree where Tay was hiding, but it did not climb. The fire confused it. The human confused it. Everything about this hunt was wrong. Eventually, it left. The third day was the hardest. Tay woke with the sun. His body was stiff and sore. His muscles screamed with pain. The bruises from Hana's training mixed with new cuts and scratches from the forest. But he was alive. One more day. Just one more day. He climbed down from the tree. The fire had burned out during the night. The great cat was gone, but its tracks were everywhere. It had been circling his tree all night. Tay smiled grimly. The cat was learning, adapting. It would not give up. Neither would he. He walked all morning. The meadow led to hills. The hills led to cliffs. He climbed higher and higher, following trails that only mountain goats should know. His fingers bled. His arms shook. But he did not stop. By noon, he reached the top. From here, he could see the whole forest. It stretched in every direction like a sea of green. And there, far in the distance, he could see the edge. The place where the forest met the plains. The place where the Felrons were waiting. He was close. So close. But then he heard it. A sound behind him. A growl. Low and dangerous. He turned slowly. The great cat was there. It had followed him all night. It had tracked him up the mountain. And now, there was nowhere left to run. The cat stepped forward. Its eyes were fixed on him. Its muscles tensed. Reached into his pocket. He pulled out the remaining berries. He threw them to the side. The cat's eyes flickered to the berries. Just for a moment. That moment was enough. Tay grabbed a rock from the ground. It was heavy and sharp. He threw it with all his strength. The rock hit the cat in the eye. The cat screamed. It stumbled back, clawing at its face. Blood poured from the wound. Tay did not wait. He ran. He ran down the mountain. He ran through the forest. He ran until his lungs burned and his legs felt like water. He ran until he could not run any more. And then he kept running. The sun began to set. The shadows grew long. Behind him, somewhere in the forest, the cat was still following. He could hear it crashing through the trees. Injured, but not dead. Angry, but not defeated. Just like him. The edge of the forest appeared. He could see the plains. He could see the torches. He could see the Fellerons waiting. He was going to make it. The cat burst from the trees behind him. It was a blur of black and silver, all teeth and claws and rage. It leaped through the air, aiming for his back. Tay threw himself forward. He hit the ground and rolled. The cat sailed over him and crashed into the dirt. He was on his feet in an instant. The cat was between him and the forest. But he was between the cat and the plains. The cat charged again. Tay did not move. He waited. He watched at the last moment. He stepped to the side. The cat's claws missed him by inches. Its momentum carried it forward. And Tay's fist connected with the side of its head. There was not a strong punch. 3 days passed after the forest trial. 3 days for Tay to heal. 3 days for the Empire to talk about what he had done. The story spread like wildfire. The human had walked into the great forest with nothing. He had survived 3 nights. He had fought a great cat and won. Some said he was lucky. Some said he was a demon in human skin. Others said the forest had gone easy on him. But a few began to whisper something else. Maybe the humans were not as weak as they thought. Prince Q did not like these whispers. He did not like the way people looked at Tay now. With curiosity instead of mockery. With respect instead of pity. He called his 3 champions to his chambers. The night before the combat trial, the first champion was named Jin. He was young and fast, with golden fur and sharp green eyes. He had killed 30 warriors in the arena. He had never lost a fight. The second champion was named Day. He was old and scarred, with gray fur and 1 missing ear. He was a master of weapons. Sword, spear, axe, dagger. It did not matter. In his hands, anything became deadly. The third champion was named Sue. She was silent and cold, with white fur and pale blue eyes. She did not fight with strength or speed. She fought with poison, with tricks, with pain. These 3 were the deadliest warriors in the Empire. And Q had paid them well. I want him to suffer, Q told them. I want him to scream. I want him to beg for death in front of the whole court. Jin smiled. That will be easy. They nodded. I will break every bone in his body. Sue said nothing. She just looked at Q with her cold eyes and waited. Remember, Q said, this is not just about winning. This is about sending a message. Humans are nothing. They will always be nothing. Make sure everyone understands that. The champions left to prepare. And Q sat alone in his chambers, sharpening his claws for the battle that would come after. The trial of combat began at noon. The arena was ancient, built from white stone and dark metal. It had no roof. The sun shone down on the sand floor. The seats rose in circles around the fighting pit, filled with thousands of fellerons. Everyone who was anyone was there. Lords, ladies, generals. Even the servants had come to watch. Princess Una sat in the royal box, her hands gripping the arms of her chair. Beside her, old Hana watched with her one good eye. "He is not ready," Una whispered. 3 days was not enough time to heal. "He's as ready as he can be," Hana said. "Now we see what he is made of." Tay walked into the arena alone. He wore simple fighting clothes. Gray shirt, black pants, boots tied tight. He had no weapons. The rules said he could choose weapons from a rack in the center of the arena. But first, he had to survive long enough to reach them. The crowd roared when they saw him. Some cheered. Most booed. Someone threw a piece of fruit at his head. He caught it without looking and took a bite. The crowd went silent. From the other side of the arena, Jin entered. He moved like water, smooth and fast. He carried no weapons either. He did not need them. His claws were weapons enough. "I have heard stories about you," Jin said, circling Tay slowly. "The human who walked out of the forest. The human who fought a great cat. Tell me, are the stories true?" "Fight me and find out," Tay said. Jin smiled. "I like you. It is almost a shame that I have to kill you." He attacked. Jin was fast. Faster than anything Tay had ever faced. One moment, he was 10 feet away. The next, his claws were slashing toward Tay's throat. But Tay was ready. Hana had taught him about forlorn speed. She had attacked him 100 times, 1,000 times, until he learned to read the signs. The way their muscles tensed before a strike. The way their eyes focused on their target. The tiny movements that came before the big ones. Tay ducked. Jin's claws passed over his head, close enough to cut a few hairs. Before Jin could recover, Tay drove his elbow into the champion's ribs. Jin grunted in pain. He stumbled back, surprise in his eyes. "You are fast," he said. "For a human, thank you." Jin attacked again, and again, and again. Each time, Tay dodged or blocked. He did not try to hit back. He just kept moving, kept avoiding, kept wearing Jin down. The crowd began to murmur. This was not what they expected. They expected the human to be destroyed in seconds. But minutes had passed, and he was still standing. "Stop running," Jin snarled. "Fight me." "I am fighting you," Tay said. "This is how humans fight. This is how cowards fight. No, this is how survivors fight." Jin roared in frustration. He threw everything he had at Tay, his fastest strikes, his deadliest combinations. But nothing landed. The human was always just out of reach. Always moving. Always watching. And then, suddenly, Jin realized something terrible. He was tired. His arms were heavy. His legs were slow. His breath came in gasps. He had been attacking for 10 minutes without rest. And the human had barely moved at all. "What are you?" Jin whispered. "I am human," Tay said. "And we do not get tired." He struck. It was not a fast strike. It was not a powerful strike. But it was perfectly placed. His fist hit Jin's temple, right where the skull was thinnest. Right where Hana had shown him. Jin's eyes rolled back. His legs buckled. He fell to the sand and did not move. The arena was silent. Then, from somewhere in the crowd, someone began to clap. Others joined. Not many, but enough. The human had won the first fight. Day entered the arena next. He was bigger than Jin, older, more experienced. He carried a sword in one hand and a shield in the other. "Clever," he said, looking at Jin's unconscious body. "You tired him out. Made him fight himself. That will not work on me." Tay walked to the weapon rack. He picked up a sword. It felt strange in his hand. Too heavy. Too long. I have held a sword for 50 years, Tay said. You have held one for 5 seconds. How do you think this will end? Badly, Tay admitted. For one of us? Tay attacked with a skill that came from decades of training. His sword moved like lightning. His shield blocked every strike. He was not fast like Jin. He was precise. Every movement had purpose. Every attack had intention. Tay could not dodge forever. He tried to block with his sword, but Tay's blade knocked it aside like it was made of paper. He tried to circle around, but Tay's shield was always in the way. Then the blade found him. It cut across his arm, deep and clean. Blood sprayed onto the sand. The crowd roared with approval. First blood, Tay said. Soon, the last blood. Tay looked at his wound. It was bad, but not fatal. He could still fight. He dropped his sword. Tay paused. What are you doing? Tay did not answer. He walked toward the weapon rack again. This time, he picked up something different. Not a sword. Not a spear. A simple wooden staff. Tay laughed. A stick? You think you can beat me with a stick? Yes, Tay said. He attacked. The staff was not a normal weapon for Florence. They did not use it. They did not understand it. But Tay had trained with the staff since he was a child. His father had taught him. His grandfather had taught his father. The staff moved in circles, fast and fluid. It struck Tay's hands, his arms, his legs. Not hard enough to break bones, but hard enough to hurt, hard enough to numb. Tay tried to block with his shield, but the staff went around the shield. He tried to cut the staff with his sword, but the staff was too fast. Strike after strike after strike. Tay's grip weakened. His movement slowed. The numbness spread through his body. And then, with one final swing, Tay knocked the sword from his hands. Tay stood there, defenseless. His shield arm hung limp at his side. His sword lay in the sand. Yield, Tay said. Tay stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lowered his head. I yield. The crowd exploded. Half in anger, half in shock. A Floran champion had yielded to a human. It had never happened before. It should not have been possible, but it was 2 down. 1 to go. Sue walked into the arena. She moved without sound. Her white fur was like snow against the dark sand. Her pale eyes fixed on Tay like a snake watching a bird. She carried no weapons that Tay could see. But he knew better. Hannah had warned him about this one. She's the most dangerous of all, Hannah had said. She uses poison. It is in her claws. One scratch and you are dead. Tay gripped his staff tighter. His arm still bled from Tay's cut. His body was tired. But he could not stop now. Sue did not speak. She did not taunt. She simply attacked. She was not fast like Jin. She was not skilled like Tay. But she was smart. She studied Tay's movements. She watched his patterns. And then, when she found an opening, she struck. Her claws came within inches of his face. He felt the wind of them passing. He smelled something sweet and wrong. The poison. He struck back with his staff. But Sue danced away like a ghost. She circled him slowly, waiting for another opening. You are afraid, she said. Her voice was soft and cold. I can smell it. Everyone is afraid, Tay said. The question is what you do with the fear. What do you do with it? I use it. He changed his pattern. Instead of waiting for her to attack, he pressed forward. He swung his staff in wide arcs, forcing her back. He gave her no time to plan. No time to think. For the first time, something flickered in Sue's cold eyes. Surprise. She was not used to prey that fought back. She was used to killing from the shadows. to striking when her victims were weak and tired. But Tay was not weak. Not yet. He pressed harder, faster. His staff was everywhere at once. Sue stumbled backward, trying to avoid the strikes. Her calm cracked. Her movements became desperate, and then she made a mistake. She overreached. Her claws extended too far, and Tay's staff came down on her wrist with a crack. Sue screamed. Her wrist shattered. Her claws went limp. She fell to her knees, clutching her broken hand. Her pale eyes looked up at Tay with something new. Something she had in the night before the final trial. Tay could not sleep. He sat by the window of his chamber, looking out at the moons. There were 3 of them, hanging in the sky like pale eyes. They watched him. They waited. His arm was wrapped in bandages. The healers had done what they could, but the wound was deep. It would leave a scar. One more to add to the collection. The door opened behind him. He did not turn. He knew who was. Una walked to his side. She was wearing a simple dress, silver like her fur. Her crown was gone. Her royal jewels were gone. Tonight she was not a princess. She was just a woman who loved a man who might die tomorrow. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Tired," Tay said honestly. "Sore, afraid." "You do not look afraid." "I have had practice hiding it." Una sat beside him. She took his hand in hers. Her claws were hidden. Her palm was soft and warm. "You do not have to do this," she said. "We can still run. I have ships. I have money. We can go to the edge of the galaxy where no one knows our names. We can be free." Tay shook his head. "If we run, Q wins. He takes the throne. And everything your father built, everything your people fought for, it all becomes his." "Is that what you want?" "I want you alive. I know." Tay squeezed her hand. "But some things are worth more than living. Some things are worth dying for." "Like what?" "Like you." Una's eyes filled with tears. She leaned against him, her head on his shoulder. They sat there in silence, watching the moons cross the sky. "Tell me about Earth," Una said finally. "Tell me about your home." Tay smiled softly. "It is a small world, blue and green. There are mountains that touch the clouds and oceans that go on forever. There are forests and deserts and cities made of glass and steel. Is it beautiful? Yes, in its own way. But it is also dangerous. We have storms that can destroy whole cities. Animals that can kill with one bite. Diseases that spread like fire. Humans learned early that the world does not care about us. If we wanted to survive, we had to fight for it. And you survived. We did. For 100,000 years. We survived ice ages and plagues and wars that killed millions. We went from caves to stars. Not because we were the strongest or the fastest, but because we refused to give up." Una lifted her head. She looked at him with something new in her eyes. "You will not give up tomorrow either," she said. It was not a question. "No, I will not." She kissed him then, soft and gentle and full of everything words could not say. "Come back to me," she whispered. "Promise me you will come back. I promise." It was a promise he intended to keep. The morning came cold and gray. The arena was full. Every seat was taken. Every standing space was packed. The whole empire had come to watch the final trial. The trial of kings. Prince Q stood at one end of the arena. He had removed his royal robes. He wore only a simple fighting outfit, black as night. His fur was groomed. His claws were sharp. His golden eyes burned with hunger. He had waited his whole life for this. The throne. The power. Everything he deserved. And now, only a human stood in his way. Tay entered from the other side. He wore the same gray clothes from yesterday. The same boots, the same bandages on his arm. He carried no weapons. The crowd jeered and shouted. They threw insults like stones. Kill the human. Rip him apart. Show him what happens to prey. Q smiled at the noise. He raised his hand, and the crowd fell silent. Today is a great day, he said, his voice carrying across the arena. Today, we remind the galaxy why Forlorns rule. Today, we show that humans are nothing but clever animals. Pets at best. Food at worst. He looked at Tay. His smile widened. Any last words, human? Tay thought for a moment. Then he spoke. When I was a child, my father told me a story. He said that long ago, there were great beasts on Earth. Cats bigger than houses. Wolves that hunted in packs of 100. Bears that could crush stone with their paws. These beasts, they ruled the world. They thought humans were nothing. He paused. The arena was silent. Those beasts are gone now. All of them. Dead and forgotten. But humans are still here. He met Q's eyes. Remember that. Q snarled. His claws came out. His body tensed. I am going to enjoy this. He attacked. Q was everything Jin, Day, and Su had been, combined into one. He was fast like lightning. He was skilled like a master. He was smart like a hunter. And he was cruel. His first strike drew blood. His claws raked across Tay's chest, tearing through cloth and skin. Tay stumbled back, pain exploding through his body. Q did not let up. He followed with a kick that sent Tay flying. Then another strike. And another. He was not trying to kill quickly. He was trying to hurt. To humiliate. To break. Fight back. Q taunted. Come on, human. Show me what you can do. Tay struggled to his feet. Blood ran down his chest. His vision blurred. But he did not fall. He did not run. He watched. That was the thing about Q. He was strong. He was fast. But he was also arrogant. He played with his prey. He left openings that a smarter fighter would never leave. Tay just had to survive long enough to find them. Q attacked again. Tay dodged. Barely. The claws missed his face by a hair. Again. And again. And again. The crowd grew restless. They wanted blood. They wanted death. But the human kept refusing to die. Why will you not fall? Q growled. Why will you not break? Tay spat blood onto the sand. Because I promised someone I would come back. He moved. It was not fast. Not by Forlorn standards. But it was unexpected. Instead of dodging or retreating, he stepped forward. Right into Q's space. Q's eyes widened. He swung his claws, but Tay was already inside his reach. The claws passed over his head. And Tay's palm struck Q's throat. The prince choked. He stumbled back, gasping for air. Tay did not stop. He struck again. And again. Not with strength. With precision. Every hit landed exactly where Hannah had taught him. The nerve clusters. The soft spots. The places where even Forlorns were weak. Q tried to fight back. But his movements were slow now. Clumsy. The strikes to his throat had done something. He could not breathe properly. What did you do? He rasped. Humans have been fighting things bigger than us for 100,000 years, Tay said. We learned where to hit. He struck one more time. His fist connected with the side of Q's head. The same spot he had hit Jin. The same spot that made the lights go out. Q fell, but he did not stay down. With a roar of rage, he surged back to his feet. His eyes were wild. His mouth foamed with anger. He had lost all control, all strategy, all skill. He was just an animal now, a beast that wanted to kill. He charged at Tay with everything he had, and Tay stood still. At the last moment, he stepped to the side. His foot swept out. Q's legs tangled. His momentum carried him forward, straight into the stone wall of the arena. The impact was terrible. The stone cracked. Q's body went limp. He slid down the wall and lay still in the sand. The arena was silent. Tay walked over to the fallen prince. He stood over him, looking down at the beast who had tried to kill him, who had laughed at him, who had called him food. "I told you," Tay said quietly. "Remember what happened to the great beasts of Earth." Then he turned his back on the prince and walked to the center of the arena. He raised his fist into the air. "I am Tay," he said. His voice was hoarse and tired, but it carried across the silent crowd. "I am human, and I have one." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, Princess Yuna stood in the royal box. She began to clap. Others joined her. First the servants, then the soldiers, then the lords and ladies who had mocked him. The clapping turned to cheering. The cheering turned to roaring. And then, one by one, the Fellerins began to kneel. Not to their princess, not to their empire. To the human who had beaten them all. The high priest walked into the arena. He carried a crown in his hands. Not a crystal crown like Yuna's. A crown of black metal and red gems. The Alpha crown. The crown of kings. He stopped before Tay and bowed his head. "You have passed the trials," the priest said. "You have proven your worth. By the ancient laws, you are now Alpha, king of the Forlorn Empire." He held out the crown. Tay took it. It was heavier than he expected. Heavier than anything he had ever carried. But he put it on anyway. The crowd erupted. Thousands of voices shouting his name. "Tay! Tay!" He looked up at the royal box. Yuna was crying, smiling. She had never looked more beautiful. He had kept his promise. He had come back to her. Later that night, they stood together on the balcony of the palace. The city spread out before them, bright with celebration. Music played in the streets. Fireworks lit up the sky. "How does it feel?" Yuna asked. "To be king?" Tay looked at the crown in his hands. He had taken it off. It did not feel right on his head yet. Maybe it never would. "Strange," he said. "I never wanted power. I never wanted a throne. What did you want?" He looked at her. Really looked at her. "You," he said simply. "Just you." Yuna smiled. She took the crown from his hands and placed it gently on his head. "Well, you have me," she said. "Forever. Forever is a long time. For a human. Not for a Forlorn. Then I will have to live a long time." She laughed and kissed him. And for a moment, the king of the Forlorn Empire was just a man, holding the woman he loved. Far below, the people celebrated their new Alpha, the human who had beaten their champions, the human who had conquered their prince, the human who had done the impossible. They did not understand him. They did not